I know him as the man from PESNO, digital strategist Constantine Frantzeskos. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, George.
I've been waiting for you to arrive because I want to talk about 5G. It's filled with so much information, at least we've been filled with so much misinformation. Let's get to the bottom of it. What's 5G and why is it making such noise and why is it creating so much disturbance and confusion and has become the product of so much conspiracy theory? What is 5G? Come on, let's begin.
Well, in a very simple way, 5G is a radio standard or a radio wave standard for mobile phones and for any type of mobile devices at all.
Okay. So I remember the original iPhone 3.
Yes.
Then we had iPhone 4, 5. Now, this has now reached that stage where we need yet another generational and higher standard of radiating signal to reach and fire up the latest information devices. Is that what we're talking about?
Correct. So if we go back into that chronology, you had 2G devices that allowed us to do things like sending MMS. Remember in the early days, you could take a bad photo and send it through? That was 2G. And then 3G.
What was my pager? 1G or something like that?
Exactly right. And then 3G was things like mobile internet. So you could actually start to do things like browse the internet on your phone.
And that was an adventurous time.
That's right.
And we forget that the arrival of the smartphones was as late as 2007.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah?
That's correct. And so, for example, you had, in Japan, they had a standard called WAP, iMode. And then we had WAP. But these were all based on these radio standards.
Okay.
4G allowed a lot quicker, but 5G is really a huge step. And the thing that makes 5G so extraordinary is that not only does it make it a lot faster, you've got the capability of making it a lot faster, but it improves a thing called latency.
Right.
And what latency is, in layman's terms, is imagine if you're accelerating a car, 5G makes your car able to travel tremendously fast, a lot faster.
So the lag effect that we see is improved immeasurably.
That's right. So if you can imagine 4G, you put your foot down on the accelerator, it might take a couple of seconds before the car boosts off. With 5G, it's literally 1 millisecond. Now, to give you an example of how fast that is, if something were to flash up in front of your face, your brain takes about 250 milliseconds to even notice that.
To recognise it,
5G will respond in 1 millisecond. So we're talking instantly fast. And you think, well, big deal, I'm not going to have to, surf Facebook and worry about speeds that fast. But if you were doing things like driving an autonomous truck or flying a drone, delivering something, those speeds...
You need to be precise.
You need to be very precise. And also the machines that are controlling them need to be quick.
Now you've just entered the realm of where I see the application and why. Everyone's talking about the Tesla that can drive itself. It really can't yet. It's getting closer and closer and closer. But unless it has the full impact or the full use of 5G and the next version, we're going to see a major struggle to achieve that result. Yeah?
Well, it's a very good point because...
And airlines the same way.
Well, there's a lot of devices or a lot of opportunities that we haven't even conceived of yet. If we think about a 5G SIM card or virtual SIM being in millions, billions of devices.
Wow.
And they could be everything from vehicles, as you've said, that could be self-driving or controlled through a central computer, all the way through to traffic lights, doors, industrial machinery, where you might have the ability, like a Formula One car, for you to track every single part of that machine remotely and say, oh, it's running a bit hot, we might need to service it.
I can see now technical innovations, people who are designing surgical equipment. You want precise measurements, absolutely creating maybe a 3D printer that's going to create even more stuff. The more power or the more precise you can deliver the end product you're going to get better results all round, are you not?
Well, that's a fantastic
And analytics are going to love that too, aren't they?
That's right. That's right. Well, telehealth
The
is
computing power.
Yeah. Well, telehealth is a wonderful example of that. So as we saw,
And that's the next generation, isn't it?
Yeah, during COVID, obviously, we were able to potentially have some teleconsultations, but they're still basically people chatting over the phone on Zoom.
Still better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing in the future is the potential for you to have live scans, maybe go into the equivalent of a telephone booth and have an ultrasound or have a scan, or even amazingly, we might have a surgeon sitting in their own living room and performing complex surgery on a machine, and that machine in a remote location is controlled by 5G.
Now, you touch on something. We had an information opportunity to talk to Kusal Gunawardena, who's from Elite Academy at Melbourne Uni, and they're working on the nth degree science applications for the treatment of sporting injuries remotely around the globe. You wear a suit, or you can put it on, it's like a shirt or something, and I'm here in Australia and you're in London, and you tell me that it's your shoulder, and I will manipulate it from here and it'll work there.
Well,
that's almost unbelievable stuff,
it is.
But it's available now.
Well,
and 5G is one of the reasons that's going to drive it, or one of the tools that's going to help to drive it, make it even more efficient. And as they say, lag time, next to nothing.
Next to nothing. And so exactly that application, it's a fantastic application.
Yeah.
But we can do that. We don't need 5G necessarily, because you can do it in your own home with Wi-Fi.
Yep.
But where it becomes really exciting is, imagine if you're on a plane. Imagine if you are driving, a remote controlled truck or a huge semi-trailer in the middle of, on a freeway going at 110 k's an hour. When you say, oh, actually, we're just going to tune the truck a little bit. Well, we're going to do that remotely.
Or it's running out of fuel. We're just going to make the fuel a little bit leaner to make sure she gets that depot on time and without having to make that second stop. The implications are enormous. And again, what you've answered also is why do we have to move beyond 4G when 4G is so good? So 5G is the way of the future, and is working at a speed. So, and we've also talked about what it can enable, and you've also spoken about the future possibilities. I suppose we're only limited by our imagination.
That's exactly right. One of the interesting things that we talk about in digital is the idea of replacement. So again, going back into history, when electricity was first proposed, the main use case was, oh great, it'll be able to replace steam engines. So instead of using steam and dirty and coal, we can use electricity. But that was just one use case. And I still think we're at that point in the internet. We're still replacing what exists. We're still replacing
instead of
new things.
Now, thinking differently.
That's right. Which is almost what you might call a layer of that maturity, which is we're replacing what exists. You know, we used to go to a shop, and now the shop comes to us. Isn't really that revolutionary. But what we're now seeing is more and more of these applications of innovation, of thinking, of imagination that is being enabled by technology.
Is that why we're seeing so many conspiracy theories arise around 5G?
Potentially. Well, what's funny is that there has been this...
Hey, I've had people who I respect ring me up and say, what are you talking about? 5G is dangerous. And I'm going, I've spoken to all the technical whizzes out there who are more aware and much more responsible than I am. And they're saying to me, if you have a microwave oven, you should be concerned.
That's right.
Yeah, and use it properly. Don't worry about 5G. Yeah. So why has it been allowed to run this while? Some of the stories are just incredible.
Well,
it started COVID.
Yeah, well, I think it's human nature for us to think that someone else is in control. It's a lovely trope, maybe part of some people's brains, to think that maybe there's some nefarious force running the world or controlling us.
But why are we believing it?
Well, I think specifically around 5G, there's a complete lack of understanding of what it is. It's really just a slight upgrade to our existing mobile networks, really nothing more than that. But also, since 1903, there's been talk of radiophobia, the idea that radio waves will somehow control us. And it's just simply people being scared of technology, really not understanding what it means, and then potentially thinking it will be a means to hurt us, control us, or do something like that. But I mean, I think it's kind of crazy that we've had this idea that somehow COVID's been a force of Bill Gates, who then's going to immunise us so he can control us with 5G. I mean, let me put it this way, George. I've worked for telcos, I've worked for Big Pharma, I've worked for software companies, and with all due respect to them, I don't think there's anyone that smart to be able to kind of get into a meeting room and actually kind of control it and conspire and run the show. So I have a very simple explanation to most of these 5G stories or these conspiracy stories. Is it if I'm the guy advising them, I'm not that smart. So surely there is no great conspiracy out there. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I have heard another conspiracy, that there are a group of people working right now with 5G to try and identify the next president of the Collingwood Football Club.
I think they'll need more than 5G, George.
You reckon?
They will need a lot more than 5G to do that.
The man from PESNO, Con Frantzeskos, talking to us and breaking down some of the I suppose, the myth and the mythology that has surrounded the word 5G or the expression 5G almost from the day it was launched.